my name is Shonda Witherspoon. Hi, my name is Shalisha Witherspoon, and we're both seniors at Florida International University, and our major is computer IT software. And earlier this year, we studied for 5 weeks in Kyoto, Japan, at Itsumeikan University, studying intensive Japanese.
Great. So can you guys tell me why you decided to do a study abroad program and why Japan?
Okay, so, ever since we were children, we were interested in Japanese culture after being exposed to it through, manga and anime. So it was always our dream to go abroad to Japan. But, we never seriously considered studying abroad because of reasons like finances and stuff. So this was kind of like we took a leap of faith and decided, let's just go for it. It's our dream.
Great. So you mentioned finances. Can you describe sort of how that and what other hindrances or barriers that you kind of felt factored into your hesitance to do it, and then what made you decide to just go for it?
Right. Well, because there's 2 of us that actually dream of going to Japan, it's obviously going to be very expensive for our family. Actually, there are 6 of us all together, and all of us actually go to college right now. So it's very expensive not only for us going to college, but to even go abroad. Yeah, it's very challenging. So that was a hindrance. That really prevented us from ever seriously pursuing it. What changed our mind, however, is that our sensei at FIU told us about study abroad scholarships. And then we realized, wait a minute, there is a way that we could pay for this. It might not come out of our own pocket. So we decided to start looking for study abroad scholarships, and with faith, we decided, let's just do this.
Great. So can you just tell us what kinds of scholarships you applied to and received? Like, what helped you really pay for this trip?
Right. So we applied for the Fund for Education Abroad, the Gilman, at the FIU Office of Study Abroad Scholarship, and the Food Foundation. Studies Scholarship.
Great. And did you receive all of those? How exciting.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
And even more exciting was that we both received it. So
wow, that's incredible.
For anything.
Excellent news. So now that we've established that how you were able to pay for it, can you describe what was the most memorable experience that you had while you were there? I know that's hard to think.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll go first. For me, it was after the program, we were able to explore Japan, and we went to Tokyo Tower, which for me was the holy grail of Japan. Like, as a child, when I would watch anime like Sailor Moon, we would see images of Tokyo Tower, and then to actually see this with my own eyes, it was the most memorable thing ever. Like, I can't forget seeing that for the first time.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, the most memorable was probably the friends that we made. Like, for example, in our program, we were partnered with buddies whose job was to help us adjust to life in Japan, and and all the other classmates who were from different universities. I didn't expect to grow so close to people in only 5 weeks. So, and we still talk to them every single day. So
excellent. So, can you talk a little bit about your experience while you were abroad in terms of just cultural differences? Like, were there any moments where you felt like people looked at you or treated you differently because you weren't Japanese? And if so, how did you handle that situation? And was there like a support system in place for you to kind of address those situations if they did occur?
Well, for me, the moment I landed at Narita Airport, I immediately felt lost because there was no English or anything like that. So, and also everyone tends to look at something that's different in Japan. So obviously we're African Americans, so we stand out. But ultimately I didn't feel like we were discriminated. I felt like because we were foreigners, they wanted to help us more. So if you're just standing in an airport, for example, looking around, someone would come up and say, "Can I help you?" Wanting to help us because they knew that we were different. So if anything, I felt like that helped us adjust because I knew that if we were lost, someone would actually help us.
Excellent. Great. So I didn't mention this as a question earlier, but you guys are in the computer sciences in that field. So can you sort of describe how you think this experience in Japan can sort of enhance your potential career goals? Like, what do you think is the correlation, if any?
Yes, like I mentioned, our dream was always to go to Japan, but it's also, we hope to maybe work in the computer industry while in Japan. So naturally, we have to learn Japanese. So I feel like this was very different experience from the classroom because people only spoke Japanese, so we had to use Japanese, and our listening improved, and so did our speaking. So I feel like even though it was a short time, it was a good step to becoming fluent and getting a preview of what life could be like in Japan.
Great, yeah. So on that same wavelength, what do you think your experience in Kyoto, right, you said?
Kyoto.
In Kyoto, what do you think those 5 weeks sort of taught you that is something you could not have learned while you were on campus here at FIU?
To me, it was actually to rely on conversational skills. There's not really a big Japanese population here in South Florida, so we don't get a chance to really practice our Japanese with native speakers. And so here, there's no choice. The friends that we made, a lot of them didn't speak English, so if you wanted to make friends with them, you had to practice your Japanese. And it was always reassuring when they understood you, one, and then they would praise you and like, oh, sugoi, so it always made me feel like, okay, my Japanese is improving, and I don't think that you can get that same experience in the classroom.
Excellent.
It's only something you can experience inside the native country.
Okay. Shalisha, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, for that also I agree with what you said mostly, but also with the reading, like kanji and stuff like that. Like, we learned a whole bunch of kanji just from being there in 5 weeks. And
right.
we can't have that experience in the classroom too much because we learning English, but this one was fully Japanese.
Great. So my last question is, what advice would you give to other students who are maybe on the fence about going abroad? Like you, they thought it was too expensive or they had too many responsibilities at home. What general advice would you give to those students?
My advice would be to go for it. You know, if it's your dream to do something, I say do it. But my advice would also be to start early, because the earlier you start looking for programs, scholarships, the better chance you have to reach out to your advisors or other students who have studied abroad. And if we didn't start a year in advance, I think we would miss a lot of scholarship opportunities.
Great.
Yes, same. Go for it.
So any last bits of advice or words of encouragement that either of you would like to give? No?
There's something.
No pressure, just really like.
I would say, I guess research, once again, scholarship opportunities. You know, I found diversity abroad, for example, by really, really digging deep and seeing if there was a way to fund my trip abroad. And if I hadn't found websites like Diversity Abroad or Gilman, I probably would have been hesitant and probably would not have studied abroad. So I would just say research, and it'll pay off in the end.
Great. Thank you, guys.